Good morning, ACTAI. How are you doing? Feeling well? Good. Oh, we feel meta good today. These two favorite people of mine they don't need an introduction. So anyway, a lot of gratitude towards Bill. He was my first mentor, and I ended up at Facebook thanks to him. Became a venture capitalist before him, as because of him, and as well a seed investor, and eventually got into mountain biking. And it's all a lot of gratitude to Bill. And Amanda, that I've known now for 4 or 5 years, for ACTAI, all events together. And I think Amanda is an amazing entrepreneur. Nobody has a drive like her. She executes and delivers, never overpromise. It just happens, and I can't even keep up with all the updates and what's going on. It's just like too much innovation too fast. And so they will speak about Metagood, and my first question actually would go to Bill. It's really here. It's a storytelling time again. Uh, the founding story of Metagood. How did it all come together?
Yeah, so basically, you guys may know of NBA Top Shot and Dapper Labs and CryptoKitties. So as the crypto industry started to get off the ground, I ran into these young people that had launched really what was the first prominent consumer application on crypto, which was CryptoKitties. And that was another moment where I thought, this is going to redefine what people want. Well, first I passed on Vitalik and Ethereum because I was trying to build a layer on top of the Bitcoin ecosystem to have it be a kind of a SaaS platform to run stuff on. So I was like, I don't need this Vitalik guy. But anyway, so he out executed our team, and Ethereum was a hit. And after that, I thought, yeah, he's one. I got to find stuff on Ethereum. And so I found CryptoKitties, and I seeded those guys. And in the process of seeding them, I said, I need you to do something for me because I'm throwing an ocean conservation gala in a few weeks, and I need something. I want to auction off something cool. So can you make me a CryptoKitty for this ocean gala thing? And so they created a cat with a turtle shell. It's an ocean turtle, and it's called Honu Kitty. And Honu is the Hawaiian word for turtle. And you can actually look it up. Honu Kitty. There's I think that we had a website. There's a Twitter account. And so the Honu Kitty was tweeting all that stuff. We sold that for $50,000. Gave most of the money to Captain Paul Watson through ACTAI. It was for an act, I think, and had him park his ship at the turtle nesting area off the island of Antigua and have people walk the beaches 24/7 for 6 weeks during peak turtle season to make sure that they all got off onto the ocean. And that was in 2018. So at that point, I kind of had in my head, this little thing that we did can be recurring, and we may be able to do this at scale to have communities of interest and kind of capitalization of causes. And I waited for the right time, so it took me a good 3 years to find the right people to stick together and make a team. And that was Amanda, along with the guy that had started Stanford's Bitcoin Meetup Group in 2013. And he's a Stanford PhD in computer science, brilliant guy that has, this is his third company. And he was another person that I walked up to one day and I said, Danny, whenever you start a company, I don't really care what it's going to be, but when you start it, I will write a check. And so that became a company called MyCoin that is going public in October, if schedules hit. And then I pulled them out of there to do something around blockchain analytics. That company got bought. That was called Blockseer. I tried to merge that into one of my other ones, but he didn't want to work for those guys in a different case. And then when that got sold and he earned out, there's a little period of waiting time. And then I thought, now's the time. So I said, Danny, I need you to meet Amanda. We're going to put this thing together, and we're going to do what we did, but at scale. And that became Metagood, which is it's a kind of a moniker for if you know blockchains, you'll know that there's a genesis block. So the first block that then all of the things come from. And I wanted this to be the genesis block for all good. So thus Metagood, where there's a kind of a chain of events where as these things circulate and trade, parts of the trading volume slip off into a pool that is used to fund good things. And we'll talk a little bit about some of the stuff we've done since.
Sure. So in terms of like technical innovation and so on, a lot of people claim that we're doing this or inventing that we're innovating on this, but you guys are really constantly, been around for what, 1.5 years, something like that? Or 2
Yeah,
years?
we started in May 2021 and then launched the first collection September 21. So, yeah, just a little over 2 years old.
Yeah.
Company.
And that's like I kind of already lost in Discord of all the announcement and the innovations and this is happening and that is happening and it's like, but there's some true deep innovation taking place. And can you shed a little light on that?
Sure. So as Bill mentioned, Danny has a PhD in computer science from Stanford. Really brilliant guy. And we were the first in September to launch the first profile pic collection, which someone was asking me at dinner what that means. That means that you want to use your NFT for your Facebook or your Twitter profile pic. First profile pic collection, all on chain in a single Ethereum transaction. So anyone who knows about crypto knows that that's done in a very efficient manner. Then we took those 10,000, they're called on-chain monkeys because they're all on chain and they look like monkeys. This is kind of what it looks like, but in different colors. And we inscribed them on Bitcoin. So that was the first 10,000 NFT collection on Bitcoin. And then as of last Thursday, we just did a mint for 300 of, it was called the OnChainMonkey Dimensions Collection, which was the first 3D animated interactive NFTs on Bitcoin. So these monkey heads rotate, they're 3D, you have laser eyes that can shoot out, you can have the laser eyes not shoot or not, but, and that was all done in 10,000 bytes. So also in a very energy efficient manner. And what's so exciting, not just the collection itself, but it's the first cursed inscription and use of recursiveness, which means the technology behind on OCM Dimensions can be reused as a code base for other generative artists or really anyone who wants to place high value digital assets on the blockchain on Bitcoin in an energy efficient manner. So we're really like innovating, we've innovated now on Ethereum, now we're building on Bitcoin, and it's not just our own collections. We've released libraries that other developers can use to put these high value digital artifacts on Bitcoin in an energy efficient way.
So is that something that you do proprietary or can others do that? What you have just done?
Yeah, so on OnChainMonkey Dimensions, we launched and they minted out. We had 6,000 people apply for 300 spots. The first 3 that were sold on the secondary market were being sold for 1 Bitcoin. So we are the top trading collection on Gamma. And then, we've actually been helping the Ordinals protocol even develop the protocol. We launched and inscribed back in February before they even launched support for recursiveness and cursed inscription. So we've been kind of ahead of the curve there. And then, yes, we've opened libraries. So now other creators can use that same code base. So we'll always reference back to OnChainMonkey Genesis, but to create on Bitcoin in an efficient way.
So can you break it down kind of technically? Like I'm trying to understand like a 5-year-old. If I buy like why should I buy an OnChainMonkey versus an OnChainMonkey with ordinals and inscription? Like what is the difference?
I mean, he talked about the Genesis block. So when you talk about OnChainMonkey, I mean, all of it starts with that first Ethereum collection. There'll only be 10,000 of them, right? Then we launched, a couple other collections, but similarly, like on all of the metadata, which means metadata is kind of like the traits. So, there's different fur colors, different eye colors. All of that metadata will be reused in future collections. So we're also launching a collection with Alexis Andre, who is the Art Blocks kind of famous generative artist behind friendship bracelets. He's going to use the OnChainMonkey metadata to create a collection that we're putting on Bitcoin as well. So if you own the Ethereum version of your monkey, you will also get one of the 10,000 that we inscribed on Bitcoin, but also that monkey DNA will be reused in future collections that we launch.
Okay, and so
we view ourselves kind of as the CryptoPunks of Bitcoin, right? And CryptoPunks launched a while ago, and I think the minimum floor price is like 10 million for each of those. So, 1 Bitcoin is still a deal we feel like to come in on the ordinals.
Yeah, let me provide some other kind of historical color and some other kind of ideas for why this is important. So, trying to think of the time, around 2015. So clock back 8 years or so. One of the reasons I passed on Ethereum raising their first money in 2014. They launched in the summer of 2015 because, as I said, I was working on a SaaS architecture on top of the Bitcoin blockchain, and I thought at that time that it would be a repository for carriage and tracking of high value assets, meaning the Bitcoin blockchain. And what I missed was I think I overshot, and I was trying to work on enterprise level high value assets. I teamed up with an economist named Hernando de Soto. I don't know if you guys have ever read the book Mystery of Capital, but so that book is phenomenal because it's a treaty, it's a book about why capitalism works in certain countries and others don't around rule of law and property rights, with the unit of the building block of capitalism being clear title of ownership to land assets. Because if you don't have it, you can't really leverage it. You can't do anything with it. If you have clear title to land, then you can borrow against it at the bank, get a title. You can build a cafe. You can do whatever. So economies grow off of clarity of ownership of assets. So Hernando and I put together a project that we called Barking Dog with Danny Yang as the architect of the system. And Barking Dog is a moniker for dogs barking to protect your property because they know what the property lines are, independent of whether they're recorded. So we basically architected this system. We presented it to President El-Sisi in Egypt, to the government of Peru and some other places, and we started to get the ball rolling on that. But it was a little heavy for that time 8 years ago to get this thing adopted. We were just too far ahead. So that got parked. But clock forward now, I think, with the Ordinals protocol, which ties a digital asset to a small fraction of a unit of Bitcoin called a Satoshi, you can basically marry those two and track the asset as you track a Satoshi moving around in wallets. So I think the time has finally come now where the Bitcoin blockchain can do what I thought it could do 8 years ago and be the kind of like TCP/IP for assets, where different things are marked, and every time they move, you know who sent it, where it went, and there's a record of all transactions. So the Ordinals protocol has that potential, and just as CryptoKitties broke out as a consumer thing, which I didn't think of myself, but I saw it happening. I was like, that's it. I think what we're doing here with Metagood is we're using something that's very consumer friendly, not very threatening to existing systems. No land title company's gonna say, let's screw those guys. Yeah, so I think it's just the very beginning of doing this, and I think the method by which Danny Yang has created this, it's kind of algorithmically generated. So there's a math equation with a data table, and that expresses all the units, which is why it fits in that 10 kilobyte block. So that method can be extended to other sets, where then those are married, because they're kind of virtualizing but indelibly digital assets connected to unit, connected to a Satoshi. So I don't know if this is going to be the record for all high value assets on a blockchain, but it technically can do that. So whether or not the marketing gets it there, that's why I think this is significant. And but back to the mission for good. As these things have traded around in that first collection, we've piled up a bunch of money and we've done some really cool things with it. And so talk about the DAO, how much is in it, some of the things we've done maybe.
Sure. Yeah. So we actually we did a mint of karma monkeys. So they were designed by the Hollywood animation team behind Ice Age, Rio, and Ferdinand, because some people said, oh, the art of the original Genesis of the collection was too simple, and we had a OnChainMonkey member post kind of a derivative of his monkey, and it got so many likes on Twitter. We reached out to him, and he said, hey, I'll come work with you guys. So he did these hand-painted monkeys, karma. We gave 50% of those mint revenues, which is probably the highest of any NFT collection I've heard, back to our community. We created a DAO. It roughly has like $4 million in it. And so anyone who's an NFT holder can propose projects for funding from the DAO. They receive voting from the whole community. We've also have a small grants committee. So we're in our third season of people kind of distributing smaller grants for different things. And we've done incredible things. We've helped to fund the evacuation of Sharbat Gula, who was the woman who was on the face of Nat Geo with those piercing green eyes, and her family out of Afghanistan to Italy. A nonprofit came and reached out to us, and one of our advisors was a former Nat Geo photographer, and he said, we have an opportunity to get her out now, but like we need the funds like now, and we were able to fund those through the secondary trading of our NFTs. When everything started happening in Ukraine, our art team created a mosaic of 25,000 on-chain monkeys. It's in the shape of the earth with a heart over Ukraine. And we just sold those for 2 weeks to our community. We said, look, this is going to be a donation. We don't, we'll let you guys vote where it's going to go. So that was actually our first snapshot vote for our community to vote. We're fortunate to have Holly Branson, who runs Virgin Unite, as one of our investors. So she recommended 3 charities, and one of them was Save the Children. So we donated 185 grand, like 100% of those revenues from those sales to humanitarian aid in Ukraine. So we were fortunate to be named Fast Company's 20 Best World Changes for Impact Investing. So it is about innovation. Obviously, technically, it is about, maybe the potential of being put, high value digital assets on Bitcoin, but also I think at our core is also what Bill was kind of talking about, being Metagood and doing good through Web3, creating wealth for our community and those NFT traders and the degens, but also realizing that you can catalyze people from around the world to do good in the world, and that we're actually doing it through our NFT collection, our community. And that, I think, every day is what inspires us, what inspires our community, our employees. We have people that act as employees and they're volunteers. Like but that mission is kind of what drives people at our company.
That's amazing. So you have a wonderful community, and somebody who has been involved in companies with communities and so on. I know that you can't build just a community, something that happened organically, and you have to be a facilitator. And not everybody understands that, and they kind of superficially or artificially try to build a community and call it a community. But OnChainMonkeys really have a unbelievable, and it reminds me a little bit of some of the from Nexon, this Chinese browser company. We had developed all this, we developed the browsers, but we made it available for people to develop skins and plugins and so on. And suddenly we have passionate people in Russia, in Brazil, and they became the biggest advocates for the browser, and actually drove downloads, engagement, and we could have done so much more, but it was a different time and different stage. But you have really built an unbelievable community around this. So can you tell me a little about the people around it? What can other people learn from you on doing this?
Well, one thing we did when we first launched the collection is we decided to share our values, which if you go into our Discord or Twitter, you always see people type !RISE, and it stands for respect, treat everyone with respect, integrity, we strive for the highest ethical standards, sustainability, we build for the future, and enrichment. So we want to enrich our community such that they can do good in the world. And I think compared to a lot of other NFT collection, which is, what's the floor price, what's trading, we've really attracted a very sticky community. Typically, we've only had 1% to 2% ever listed for sale of our community. And so people are very diamond-handed. It's what they say in the NFT community when you don't want to sell your NFTs. And it's, I think, I think every day as a team, we're always thinking about how do we create value for our holders. And when we talk about creating wealth, it's not just financial. We have a group that was actually funded through the DAO. They're called OnChainMonkey Misfits, and they work out and they incentivize each other, and it's super inspirational. We have a banana token that you can earn if you're active in our Discord and Twitter, and they give bananas to each other if you work out together. We had a group out of Brazil, also got funding from our DAO, and they rehabilitated a skate park in an unused part of Brazil. Then they threw in it from the top down. It looks like an on-chain monkey from the drone. And then they did a Brazilian rap competition there. So and then we've done a lot of really cool IRL and online stuff. We threw a party at the New York Stock Exchange floor, which was incredible for a lot of NFT traders who are traditional finance guys and gals. And so we've had the opportunity to bring people together in many different ways and create kind of social connectivity and wealth across many different dimensions.
Yeah, let me chime in. So for those of you that were here yesterday when I was talking about borders and capital assets and nation states that came out of the Industrial Revolution. So there's been a bunch of really cool social experimentation in what we've tried to deliver here, because one of the concepts that I've had for a long time is that the nation state boundaries defined by the Industrial Revolution may be temporary. Of course, they're not going to go away, but mentally they're going to be temporary, because now that electrons can let anybody reach anyone else around the world at any time, I think what's happening is that, if you imagine a giant web of people on the world where everybody's a little molecule, because of digital connectivity, people can be abstracted off of that layer into virtual nations. And nations may or may not be defined by military equipment and boundaries, but by belief systems, a little bit like religions. And so we have here in this group, we are our own religion in a way. And I think if you define the values correctly around the globe, you're going to have all these little molecules that, if they know about it, abstract off and become part of their own nation with their own microeconomy. So what we're trying to do here is get people of similar values around Rise and other things to lift off, connect, and then create our own economy with our own currency. So we have, in this case, bananas as a token that are traded amongst each other as value exchange for good deeds. So I look at it as kind of like, okay, let's get this group of people, lift them off, put them together, and everybody puts their hands on one giant economic sphere, which is a giant ball of good karma. And it's like a giant magic wand where, through the Tao, people can collectively push it, tap that, tap that, tap that, and the economic flow goes to fuel what the people want to do. And it seems like it's working. You know, it's small scale now, but I'd like to see this thing grow and grow. And eventually we have our little banana token. I don't know that we will actually turn that into a currency, because the integrity part, you know, it's a double, we strive for integrity, but the definition of integrity is subjective. And right now the SEC says anything like that is bad. You know, so we're basically staying away from anything that is that could get us into trouble. But, you know, if the rules get clarified, we may end up launching kind of a good karma currency that people can use for these kinds of things, which is what our DAO does today.
Awesome. So, final question. The NFT market, can you speak about general about where you see this going? Because I think a lot of people have been burned, people have lost a lot of value in big projects, and the values have gone down, the floor has been broken, and basically you guys are still standing out and you're on the rise. But that kind of attests to your to what you're doing and the value and the quality innovation. But what do you think in general about the market? Where's this going?
I think it's super early days. Danny did a tweet, you know, because he founded the Stanford. In fact, I think Vitalik pitched for funding at his Stanford Bitcoin meetup. So he is very OG, as is Bill. Obviously, you've been in crypto since like 2010, right? So super OG. And when you look at Bitcoin, and people are like, yeah, I remember when it went to 100 and then 78 and then 1,000, right? So I feel like we are in that phase still with NFTs. I mean, really, as Bill mentioned, you know, CryptoKitties, NBA Top Shot, Dapper Labs. 2018, 2021, really the whole NFT market started. Bitcoin ordinals, that whole protocol just launched in February. It's not even a year old. So I think, you know, fluctuations are normal in these type of markets, especially in innovative things where people are still trying to understand it. But what's special is kind of quality in a down market. If you say NFTs are down, actually shines. And so if you look at data that comes out about OnChainMonkey and the number of profitable trades that we've had as a collection, we're one of the highest NFT collections. We're always, you know, whenever you see the data, like objectively across most other NFT collections, you know, quality shines in down market, because when it's just the hype cycle of like the end of 2021, it's just about marketing and everybody can kind of get hype. And so I think, you know, personally, I think it's the best time to build for any startup, especially Web3. It's best time to invest too. And so, I mean, we're just very bullish that this is just the beginning. So, you know, just this and then this and then this, you know, and that's our belief on what's happening.
Great. So listen, I think you have built a wonderful company, and I'm very excited to be part of it, both as an investor as a holder. And you can still be a holder and you can get involved. But I think really Metagood actually embodies what is really ACTAI. It's the same spirit. You can feel it in there. And what is better place in this community to actually share these stories and be part of it. So give it up for Bill and Amanda.